LA is on fire, and there's a bunch of people that lost their houses and that lost their cars. They're basically on the verge of losing everything. And it is absolutely detrimental because some of the stuff could have been prevented long down the road. And how do I know? Well, I used to live in Santa Cruz, California, and I've started to seeing the pattern when Half Moon Bay was on fire. That was a few years ago before I moved, and I saw the devastation of all these fires going on. And it's just absolutely detrimental of how they've treated that and how many people are going to actually lose everything. There's even a few people that are actually losing their life because of it, and absolutely devastating. So let's go over a few things. So I want to play a game with you guys. And I'm going to play a game that's called Who Has the Shortest Stick, right? So this game is basically you hide behind and who has the shortest stick loses. And it is between rich people and poor people, right? And so now I'm going to ask you, who's going to pull the shortest stick? That means they're going to lose in this fire situation in California. Is it going to be the rich people or the poor people that can't assure their homes, right? So yeah, you're right. It's the people that can't afford their fire insurance and all this other stuff, right? So I asked AI a little bit here, and I've asked, so hey, what is going on with this insurance thing and fire insurance? Because we're hearing crisis all over the U.S. with coastal cities that can't sustain themselves because insurance are dropping like flies because it's just not lucrative for them to insure anymore because there's so many claims, they're in the billions of dollars, and they just can't keep it afloat. And so this is a national survey. Research by this Marshall and Swift company indicates that about 60% of homeowners are underinsured by approximately 17% of their home value. For a home valued at $200,000, that equates to a shortfall of about $34,000. So that means that if your house is valued at $200,000, then you have to, that's what the insurance would pay out. And so you would then have to finish it all, you'd have to actually write a check for $35,000. And now we know that most Americans can't do that, right? And when I'm seeing all this fire stuff going on, we've been there with PG&E. So if you don't know, PG&E is this huge electric company in California, and they've been in the news for creating the fire in Paradise. And what happened there was that they basically caused the fire and killed a bunch of people because they couldn't do things, and it's like a messy situation, and the whole town burnt down, and then they sued them. And I don't know if they won yet or not. I haven't looked. So once I left the state, I kind of forgot about these type of deals. But let me tell you how this goes. So in California, if you want to do something, and they say, hey, we need to get rid of all these bushes around here for wildlife or for wildfire prevention. Somebody thinks it's going to be a really, really decent idea to get a lawyer and sue them. And so when you sue them, you got to stop doing the work and you got to let the courts decide. But then it's in the court system and it's backlogged, and so they'll probably stop working, and it comes and and all that kind of stuff goes, right? So it's going to keep growing, and while the courts are going to figure it out. So afterwards, what happens is these lawyers say, we're going to debate about it, we're going to figure something out. And in the meantime, there's a fire coming and just sweeps through it. And then, oh shit, the houses next to it, right over there, have caught on fire because of it. So now there's new lawsuits, right? So you settle the first one, right? And then you got to work on the second one. And guess who's going to pay for it? It's all these utilities companies, and somebody's going to have to be blamed for it. And then they're going to find somebody. And what does it do to you when you sue your utility company? That's going to make the rates go even higher. And this would happen in PG&E's case. So they got to pay out these settlements and do all that. And what do? When you're PG&E and you're required, every house needs electricity. So what do? You increase the rates, right? It's the only thing that you can do. And since you're the only provider, right, that does electricity, since you can't pick and choose and say, you know what, I don't want PG&E, I want somebody else. No, you have one option and that's it. So you're stuck. And then PG&E's got to pay out these lawsuits. What happens? you got to pay more premiums, right? And so it's a never-ending cycle of lawsuits and increased premiums. So you'll never hear the end of it, right? And so if you haven't, please like and subscribe. I do videos like this all the time. I even didn't wear my hat today because people online think that I'm bald. I don't know why. I gotta, but I just like wearing my hat. So like today, I'm not gonna wear my hat for my live yesterday. So back to the video. Now that we got all these lawsuits, they're coming up, they're coming up, and it increases your insurance premiums. It's gonna make it really hard for you to stay ahead if you're a homeowner. So where do you save the easiest money, right? When you're a homeowner, one of the easiest way you can save money is on insurance, right? Because you can lower your premium, you can you can shuffle it around and you can say, I don't need that much, let's not worry about it, and nothing's gonna ever happen to me because I live here and then my neighbor house has to catch on fire and my other neighbor's house needs to catch on fire, and so you don't worry about it too much. But now all of a sudden there is a fire, and then all of a sudden you are gonna be in trouble because it did happen to you. And a lot of people always say, it's never me, it's always the other person. And so yeah, life comes full circle, right, where it is you. And now we know that you live in California, you need good insurance. So do you need good insurance if you live in Florida, because there's such bad, disastrous weather conditions that you just can't say it. You can call it what you want. You can call it an act of God. You can call it global warming. It doesn't matter what you call it. At the end of the day, the weather is more brutal. There is more severe storms, and you're going to be paying more. So if you live in these coastal cities in Florida, you're going to be prone to more of a high insurance market, and you got to have to pay more because every few years your house gets demolished and you got to rebuild it. Somebody's got to pay for that, right? And so insurance is going to go up. If you live in California, you live in one of these wildlife crazy areas where there's so many fires and your house burns down, you got to pay more because every few years, according to statistics and data that they're going to do, you've got to rebuild your house. And now I'm looking like, oh, how can this be prevented? If the state wasn't so against innovation and wouldn't go against, like, what we got to do, we got to stop this, and we got to start seeing like, hey, this is patterns, let's deploy National Guard, let's do all these kind of crazy things, let's ask the federal government to step in. But here comes the tricky part. As a governor, as a political official, you got to be careful with who you ask for help, right? Because if you ask for help, then somebody else might claim the glory and it's going to overshadow what you've done as a governor. So there's strategic moves you got to do in order to still take this as a victory. And lives are lost or whatnot, that doesn't matter if you're a politician, because if you're a politician, you need to win. You need to win the votes. You need to say, we stuck it to the big man or whoever it is, and we're doing the best we can to keep the state in whatever form we have, right? So it is absolutely important for you as a politician to just make sure that everything is done in the way that you want to do it. So one of the things that I always tell people is that everything needs to be a political win, right? And they're saying, oh, that the LA governor, that the LA mayor is in Ghana right now seeing that. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, what are they doing there? Like, if that's true, your city's on fire and you're doing something else. And this is special interest lobbyists, right? This is at its finest what people say the establishment. And I had this discussion on my live the other day, and I said, if you vote blue, no matter who, and you do the same thing in a red state, you vote red no matter what, then there is no competition. And if you have no competition, and then what do? You buy your way on top of the ticket, right? So if you have deep pockets, you're private equity, and you made shit tons of money, you can buy your way on top of the ticket, and it's almost a guaranteed win because you can just say, hey, I'm going to win because I'm going to buy my way on top of the ticket. So, and I said on my live yesterday, I said, you got to have elected people that have your best interest in mind. Because I feel like today, in today's world, is these politicians, they don't care that people lost their lives. They don't care about that all these wildfires are there. They're gonna, as soon as the news cycle is gonna turn, right now it's in the news, and it will be forgotten. In the next 2 weeks, it'll probably be forgotten, and nobody will talk about it unless you've been hit, right? If you've been hit and you lost everything, it's hugely upsetting to you, and you're gonna deal with the consequences, and it's gonna cost you a lot of time, a lot of effort, and everything else. And then the news changes to inauguration, to all this other stuff, and it cycles, right? So when the news cycle changes, that's what they're gonna hope for. So you gotta be electing people that have your best interest in mind. And it's hard to figure those one out because we vote on issues or just party, right? Not on the people. And we should actually vote on the people, not just on the party, so that they can get the best outcome for their district, for their people, so that they can say, hey, this is going too far, we need to do it. But once you're in the circle, you're in the club, you forget everybody around you. And let me help you out and you help me out, and then it's a whole shady atmosphere going on. So yeah, gotta be watch out what I'm saying, or I'm gonna be all of a sudden I'm gonna be ending up in the ditch somewhere. So yeah, gotta be careful what you say now. So wouldn't be the first person that said something like it, and then all of a sudden they come after you. So yeah, that is how crazy these wildfires are. You gotta make the money. You gotta somehow figure out how you can elevate yourself to be better, to do better, to kind of get ahead of all these type of things. So when there is catastrophe happening, you can hire lawyers and get your money back. Because if you have a lawyer dealing with it, it's going to be way easier than you dealing with it. Because a lawyer, they know how to navigate it. They do it every day. You, once in a lifetime maybe. So it's all new. So the missteps that you're going to make might cost you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when a lawyer does it, you're good. But they cost money, right? So back to my original game again, where I said, who has the shortest stick? Is it you, or is it the person that has a shit ton of money? So it's going to be you, right? So back to my saying of that there's so many people are underinsured. That is because the economy's not going well. They stretched all their money they got, and now all of a sudden you got to figure out where and what are you going to do, because you got to rebuild somewhere. You got to do something. Either you take the check from the insurance company and just run, or you got to figure something else out, what you're going to do to just kind of get by and find another spot. But most of these people don't really have a bunch of options where they can say, you know what, I'm just going to sell my house and be done with it, because where are you going to go? You got to live somewhere. And yeah. So it is absolutely crazy. And yeah, you gotta make the right decision for your family. That's why I moved out here. That is why I moved to Las Vegas. Yeah, there's no city or no place has no problems, right? That's a fact. Every place that you're gonna go to, every place that you're gonna encounter has its own issues, right? But are they better or worse than you were, right? And sometimes you don't need to find a whole lot different. You just need to find a little bit better, and then you're good off, right? And that's what I did. Moved from Santa Cruz, California to Las Vegas, Nevada, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, I love the town. I love the people. And yeah, it's windy because this wind is blowing to LA and actually taking out all these houses, all these property damages. I read there's like 1,000 houses burnt on fire, and it is absolutely crazy, absolutely nuts when you're looking at all these devastation. And it's going to be interesting to see the cleanup and see what they're going to do, because it's going to take a long time for them to get contractors in there to rebuild it. It's going to take quite some time to figure out, hey, what went wrong? And yeah, my heart goes out to all these people. I hope you guys are doing all right. You're going to survive this. If you're in that area, my heart goes out to you. I truly do not want this to happen to anybody, because that is just absolutely crazy sad that they couldn't prevent it with digging ditches. They got all these services. They got forest services. They got all these agencies that can come and check it out. But I've been hearing, and this is just me speculation, that water hydrants are empty, that they can't do this because there's been so much less rain. So I don't know what that's all about, but yeah, it is absolutely nuts. So yeah, hope you're gonna do all right. Let me know if you're impacted in the LA area. And yeah, I'll see ya in the next one. If you please haven't, like and subscribe, and I will see ya in the next one.